All right, everybody. So I got a lot of really good questions after the foot massage or working your calf and ankle video I put out. So I wanted to kind of go over shoes that I wear and why I went to barefoot as much as I could. Uh, so I just moved into massage full time, but I stepped out of the corporate world, and as such, these were the primary shoes that you would wear whenever, or I would wear whenever I would go and do any presentations, travel for meetings, any of that junk. Here are my Vans. These were my go-to like comfy shoes. So I would wear these primarily when I wasn't at work. What did they look like? All right, so what I'm gonna do is Camp Wooten is in a remodel, so I just grabbed a chunk of wood that's white enough for you to be able to see. I'm gonna lay it on the floor, and I'm just gonna show you the difference between what shoes make your feet do and what they should actually do. So, all right, there we go. All right, so these are my Vans. Put them on here. I'm just gonna trace around them with this marker. Actually, I'm gonna do it up here on the top so I'm not bent over so far. And with the understanding that I'm just gonna trace around them, hopefully not right on my shoes. And that way I can see what my foot looks like inside of the shape that they hold. All right, so I'm not a super cool artist. Harper got all of the artistic genes in our family. So I'm just gonna trace. So here's a circle, hopefully I don't write on my shoes. And here we go. All right shoe is done. Left shoe I'm gonna do. And then in a second I'm gonna stand on these and you can see how my feet fit into my well-worn shoes. And this is, at the end of the day, this is the amount of real estate that you are giving your feet to swell up in. Now, as you can see, the marker is going to be wider than the shoe itself because this is just a marker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat inside just a little bit to make up for the thickness of the marker wall and then also make up for the thickness of this wall. So how much room would your foot actually have to sit? So I'm going to cheat it into about right here. Because obviously you wouldn't be hugging the canvas all the way around. And then, like I said, this marker is probably, I don't know, a quarter of an inch or so thick. So this tracing is bigger than my actual shoe by quite a bit. That's where my foot would actually sit in. Do it with this guy too. I'm cheating in. Follow the line, Steve. Follow the line. All right, so there's my Vans. I'm gonna write Vans on the top. Awesome shoes, by the way, just not in alignment with what I want to do. All right, so Vans, and go over the side. I'm gonna grab these are Perry Ellis Portfolio Ultraforms. So these were my go-to business shoes. So you would wear like the, business casual or business straight up. You could wear this with a nice suit. And you would see us people rocking these nice, pretty pointed shoes at like church and weddings and work and all kinds of fun stuff. It is raining super hard outside right now, but welcome to Central Florida in the summertime. So if you hear thunder, it just is what it is. All right, so there's one shoe, and I'm gonna do the other one. And once again, I'll come back and I'll trace on the inside of it so you can see what kind of real estate my foot actually gets to live in. All right, so there's that. Hold still, buddy. All right. Running shoes are much the same too. You can do this with your Nikes if you, or whatever you shoes. That was my go-to for the longest. All right, so these are Perry Ellis. I'm just going to PE. Now I'm going to trace inside just to make up for the thickness of the marker again, and then make up for, if you can see on the outside of the sole, there's a ridge here that you don't actually, the canvas is stapled on the inside. So I'm going to cheat in a decent amount since that's how that works. And all in all, these shoes are comfortable. They do what they were designed to do, which is to make you match, I guess. And they're not uncomfortable. But the part I'm going to look at is the overall shape of your foot. So as I'm moving into the barefoot living and trying to get my feet to spread back out so they support me, it makes my back not hurt. It makes my... All right, so I'm going to trace back in. It makes my posture better. My knees don't hurt. My hips don't hurt. The whole shebang. All right, so now move these out of the way. And then we're going to put this down and put my feet over the top. So here's the Vans, and I'm going to put my foot right over the top of it. And you can see that it's not horrible, but in order for my feet to fit into this mold, this side would squeeze in a little bit here to match in, and then this toe would have to go in just a little bit. And it's not a bunch, but it's a little bit. So then here's the other Van, the other foot, the same thing. I just need to squeeze this in a little bit, and I would only ever measure and say, okay, they're size 11. They squeeze my feet. That's what they're supposed to do. That's what I thought they were supposed to do, and I would move on with life. If you notice, this toe is like pointing that way. Well, it's in here, and I see a ton of I see a lot of clients that have the foot goes up and the toe goes over, and the shoes, for the most part, are the reason we're doing this. We're wearing braces for 6, 8, 12, 10, 15 hours a day. Boots are the same way. You see there's really pretty like wingtip boots that people wear, and I look at that and I'm like, you're rolling your toes, brother. But yeah, so they all do that to some degree if we're not selecting footwear. I'm gonna go over to the Perry Ellis ones and do the same thing. Not horrible, but it is pulling them in like that in order to make it fit in. So I'm lining my heel up, and so once again this one would get pushed over, and in order for that to fit all day long, I'm wearing these shoes and walking around, and as you're walking your feet are doing what they do and they're wanting to spread out to support you, but they're being kept in. So you'll see people like taking off their shoes and they're like, oh man, my back is killing me. Yeah, you're tiny. Your feet are tiny. So how do I know what my feet should look like? Look up online. I think I found a really cool image. I'll see if I can figure out a way to put it on the video, and if not, I'll just put it on the post somewhere. But here's what I want my feet to do. So I've been spreading them out and going barefoot for the most part of the last 2 years, and what I'm after, honestly, and this looks like insanely exaggerated, but that's my goal, is to get to this space, which puts I would need a shoe that shape roughly like that up here in the toe box. And there are some toe box shoes out here that do that, but that's what the Vans overlay. This is with this overlay. Look at them splaying out. All right, so there's that. I'm just going to draw around the toe box portion. Same thing. So that's the Vans overlay, and here's the Perry Ellis ones. Once again, I'm just going to spray them out because that's what I'm after. All right. And so once again, we're going to draw around them. And it's black on black on black on black. So I apologize for that. Maybe I'll learn as I go on this. So once again, I'm going to spread these guys out. And do this, do the same. All right. So that's my layout. That's the difference between the two. Is you can see this goes up and goes way out, little toe, big toe, and in the meantime they would all have to be squeezed within the bounds of this inner line. So back here is fine, but here they start spreading. The bones are kind of separating out, which is awesome. And then they get bigger than my shoe, bigger than my shoe, bigger than my shoe, bigger than my shoe. So what do I wear? Like I said, we've gone to barefoot living for the most part, but I do have to wear shoes, because that's why I still have those. There are times where you just have to have shoes. So I have these Vibrams, and fantastic shoes, by the way. Multipleth pair, I've been wearing for a while. And whenever you overlay them, these are my quote unquote running shoes. Just laying them flat, you can see how they compare to traditional shoes. They let my feet spread. I don't care if I look ridiculous. I think I'm actually super happy with it. So that's my running. If I need to, if I wanted to go hiking, I actually a couple years ago hiked the Grand Canyon in these were my hiking boots. It was the easiest packing trip I've ever had. Everyone else had big shoes. I had these, and I brought a pair of tennis shoes for the last little bit, but it was like 23 miles down the Grand Canyon rim, back up, all in a single day. And these were what I wore for probably 85% of the time. So they're super durable. They can do anything as long as your feet are conditioned. But once again, if you overlay these guys here to your traditional hiking boots, the average person is hiking with shoes that are squeezing their feet, holding them snug, and then here you're able to splay out. I had a pair of, this is over the Perry Ellis, you can see there, same thing, dress shoes. So what do you do if you work in a corporate culture like I just came from? Break some rules. So what I did was I would travel up to a place for a week, and I had these shoes in my bag. I wore these the first day to lunch, and then I kept these in my bag. And at lunch I was like, I don't care. So I'm going to change in. These were black, solid black versions of these. So they didn't stand out against my business casual attire. Put these in my bag as a backup just in case somebody said something, and no one said a word. So then the next day, I just started the day with my black versions of these, and I kept those in my bag. Nobody said anything. By the end of the week, a couple people were like, oh, those are cool shoes. What are they, and asking questions in a positive way. And so after that, the next trips, I didn't bring those shoes anymore. In fact, I threw a pair of them away at one point because they hurt my feet. And I was like, my baggage was overweight, so I just tossed them. But yeah, I just had black versions of these and business casual. No one said a word. We're a very accepting society, so if you're doing something for your health, just own it and say, hey, if I'm willing to make accommodations for everyone else under the sun, I'm going to make accommodations so that I can actually be pain-free in my work and profession. The cool thing is back in October, we attended my company that I was working for at the time. They were like a keynote at a huge conference in Vegas, and I had never met anybody there. I just started remotely, so I flew out to Vegas, business casual all the way down, and black versions of these at the bottom. We were walking around the conference all day, people talking, doing things. No one said a word. And so I encourage you to just critically look at what your feet are doing, what you're doing to your feet every day. And essentially, we're wearing braces that hold our feet in, and we wonder why they're so tiny. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. Reach out if you have any other questions, and